2010 VAC survey. So that is the situation in Kenya.
Right.
Of course, the physical being the most rampant one, but we are experiencing the violence against children is manifesting itself on all forms that you have mentioned. Yeah.
Do you share the same thoughts with him?
Yes, Madam, we share the same actually sentiments. And violence against children, actually our main challenge is actually unreporting of cases, or those cases that are not reported. But it still manifests itself across all levels of the society, and even across all classes of the society.
And reporting, you mean it's not entirely reported, or there's under-reporting of this?
Under-reporting.
Under-reporting.
Let's put it as under-reporting.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, there are very different types of violence. There's bullying, there's violence, youth violence, domestic violence. But here in Kenya, what forms of violence does it manifest here in the country, mostly?
When you talk about violence for children issues, I'll not go the category of bullying and all that, but we classify them on various forms.
Right.
The physical. Physical is where the actual pain is caused on a child. There is also the emotional violence, and this can result from insults, abuses, trauma that children go through. You cannot, by seeing that child, you cannot able to see where's the pain, but the child is feeling pain internally. That's emotional. Then we also have sexual violence. It's also a form of physical violence, but it can start from emotional and then goes to physical. And then we also have online abuse that is also now coming up seriously, where children are experiencing violence online.
Right.
Yes, through the technology, through the media, which is unsupervised by some parents. So those are the various forms by which the violence express themselves in Kenya.
What are some of the drivers, Mark, if I'm to come to you, of this violence? He's talked about physical, emotional, and the sexual abuse, but what are the drivers? What leads to this?
Yeah, there are various drivers for violence against children. And we can look at those drivers across different, again, levels. At the individual level, maybe at the community level, and even at the general society level. But specifically when you look maybe, for example, at sexual violence, then one of those drivers we say is even community-driven, our cultures, and generally even how we perceive sex within our cultures. And where, for example, in various communities, even in Kenya, there still goes around what we call child marriage. And then even when children are violated, and more so the female children, then it is sorted out within the community. And this is still a very big challenge for us in Kenya. But we can also look at issues to do with poverty, which is a general societal problem. For example, we are a developing country, and therefore our poverty index is still very high. And what it means, therefore, is that this would drive children to survival issues, and therefore that would also cause violence. But look at it also from the individual level, where children violate each other, and they violate each other because of their exposure to various things, including what Mr. Wino has just mentioned, online, what we call social media, and issues to do with the internet. And therefore they think that what they see in the internet is what they're supposed to do. And somehow, sometimes they also want to experiment. And when they experiment, they end up abusing each other. And look at maybe something to do with, again, social issues like divorce. And gender-based violence within the family. That is also a big driver when it comes to violence against children. And we always also say that children who see their parents abuse each other would also end up as abusers. Replicated, even when they are adults. And therefore, there are several drivers, and those, let me just mention a few of those.
Kennedy, still on the same, I just want to connect. He talked about community and like the tradition. Do you think things have improved over time, or people are not learning, especially the community level? Because there are certain traditions where if a sexual violence happens, especially to a child, the community comes together, they talk and resolve it. Is the situation still the same? Things are not getting any better?
No, things are getting a little bit better because of sensitization that we are also doing on the legislation and policies that exist to protect children. But we can't say that we are 100% there. We are not yet there, but some little progress have been made. Comparatively, if you compare the 2010 and the 2019 VAC, the situation has changed. But you see, change is something that will have three kinds of approach.
Right.
There are those that will embrace it. There are those that will wait and see the impacts. And there are those that will definitely say, no, this is not ours. So yes, there are still cultures to date. Like remember, we had the vision of Kenya being a free FGM society by 2022 actually. But we are not yet there because there are still cultures that exist that they are doing it. And even for those that have changed in terms of FGM, you know, now they are doing the medical FGM, medicalization.
Yes.
So they are still practicing it, yes. That does not really bad the impact. The impact is still there. The danger it causes to the health of the children, especially the female, is still there. But now they are doing away on how to do it. So in terms of also policy legislation, we are seeing how now do we also come up with a policy or a legislation that prohibits medicalization of FGM. So the situation is exactly what is presented.
But yes, just Mark, coming to you again, still on the same.
Yes.
Is there any awareness that's being created, or how are you talking to people in these cultures to tell them, look, this is wrong? What are you doing about it?
A lot. Actually, just like Kennedy has put it, the government is doing a lot. And sometimes what happens is that because of lack of dissemination, like this forum that we are currently having, people don't get to know in time or on time that there are certain interventions that have been put in place. Let me give you an example. Like the survey that we have been talking, that he has mentioned on back 2010 and 2019, then came what we call a national plan of action on response to those issues that the survey had really found out. So one of those campaign was Spot It, Stop It.
Nice.
And that has done wonders because there's been even use of technology in doing that. And then it means that the information now is spread across the country. And if you look at now, even the telephone network, across the mobile telephone network across the country, and messages are received on the phone. We also, at the government level, have what we call child line, what we call a toll-free line, 116, where children themselves can report. And even those people who have seen violence can report to. And then they're able to get interventions immediately. Like even children getting counseling.
Right.
Yes. And I want also to say that government does not work alone. They work with, again, civil society. And through civil society, again, the information is spread through awareness and sensitization through their programs. But if you look at even what we do with cash transfer, Ken, you see that. That's one way of reducing poverty and therefore cushioning the communities against vulnerability and which reduces violence against children.
Of course, so it's a communal effort at the end of the day.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so thanks for that. I want us to just take a quick commercial break here on News Center. But when we return, the conversation will still be ongoing. So stay with us.